basic question. Can a woman have a penis? And as Maya Forstater says, local authorities are critical decision makers on issues as diverse as single-sex services, such as changing rooms and sports centres and toilet facilities in parks, to the guidance given to schools about sex education and how they respond to children who are gender questioning. She added in the Daily Mail over the weekend, our hard-fought rights are now being turned against us. Every rule and policy that says something is for women is being changed so that it's now for people who self-identify as women, whatever their sex. The time has come for women to fight back. The days of politicians disrespecting our rights and thinking we will still vote for them are over. Respect my sex if you want my ex is clear, just like I am, that trans folk must not be discriminated against and should fully participate in society. But just not at the cost of precious areas like women's sport and the protection of young girls. To respond now, my superstar panel, the Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, senior reporter at the I newspaper Benjamin Butterworth, and the social commentator Esther Kraku. So Benjamin Butterworth, you are a public figure. Respect my sex if you want my ex. Want people like me to ask you a very simple question. Can a woman have a penis?
Oh, boy.
Well, do you know, I don't know why this is happening at the moment, because the only law that has been affected by such questions was introduced 18 years ago. Men have penises and women have vaginas, and there are some other people who will transition because that's how they're built, and that's the case in every country, in every culture, in every period of our history, not in the last year or two. That's a quite straightforward thing, but what's not straightforward is the comment you just made, which is that they're a threat to young girls.
When did I say that?
Dan? That was in your digest.
They can be, and they are.
They are. Not just young girls. I'm going to spread it.
Women have been raped in prisons by trans prisoners.
Women are being raped in hospitals.
You want me to give you the time and date? It's a fact. They have been raped in prison by trans prisoners.
First of all, I mean, you can...
But Benjamin, you're actually misquoting me. I said that trans folk must not be discriminated against and should fully participate in society, but not at the cost of precious areas like women's sport and the protection of young girls. So don't misquote me.
And how are they a threat to the protection of young girls?
Well,
number one, I never used the word threat.
Can I answer that too, yeah?
I never used the word threat, but yes, you answer it.
Well, sir, young women, not just young women, women in general are being raped in women's prisons by trans women that suddenly identify as women to enter women's prisons. What was the name of the lady who was recently raped in the NHS hospital? By a trans woman.
Do you think if I sat here and said that a black... Because, of course, what that person has done is utterly repugnant. But if I sat here and said that a black person had done that, and therefore you shouldn't have the same rights, would I be racist?
Well, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing, actually.
I'd be racist.
No, that's not the same thing, because these are two completely different issues. Black people are not predisposed. Black people are not predisposed to commit crime.
You've just said trans people are predisposed to commit crime.
No, because trans women, so biological men that are taking advantage of this ridiculous system that people like you endorse to go into women's spaces and abuse them is completely different from black people or any person of any other race committing a crime.
Why are trans people predisposed to commit crimes?
Because this is a loose structure that is allowing them to take advantage of a ridiculous system that makes you think.
That's pure bigotry.
Predisposed is the wrong word.
Well, you just said
what it does is...
No, I'm sorry.
You've said that they undermine young girls.
Yes, because there was evidence
frankly, Dan,
that they were
that's exactly
abusing
what would have been said about a man like you in the 1980s.
Benjamin, you actually misquoted me, which says a lot about the way that
you
the
said they undermine the safety of
No. You said that you claimed that I said that trans women provide a threat to young girls. I didn't say that. So you are playing the cultural issue on this.
Can I just come in and say this? We are where we are today with this, not with the trans movement, not because we are a progressive society. It's because we are all of this came around by thoroughly anti-democratic means. The rights that are now around for some trans people came about through mobs, through threats, through bullying. Professor Catherine Stock, who was at university, was hounded out of a university by a mob armed with flares, masked mob. J.K. Rowling. She was hounded out of a job.
And what was changed because of that?
You've just
Sharon Davies.
Just let me answer your question. She was thrown out of a job she'd been in for 18 years because she was threatened by a mob with masks and flares. because she dared to say you
Even-
can't just
even
become
authors
a
like
woman
Chimamanda
if you
Ngozi
decide
Adichie
to be
have
one.
been called
This
terms.
there's orchestrated campaigns against women all over this land, women who dare to say the truth. You know,
There's no daring about it.
There's
no daring.
For
All
women
you
who
ever
dare
hear,
to
all
say,
you ever hear is the view that you express, and you're
What?
well entitled to it.
Why-
but the
why
idea
can't-
that you are brave by saying it is nonsense.
What? No, you're brave because if you say it, you get bullied and you get threatened and you get chucked
Sorry,
out of your job.
You're,
Do not recognise
Benjamin, the
that?
left
If you
have
said-
cancelled
if you said-
J.K. Rowling.
if you sat
The
here
left
and
have
said black
cancelled
people undermine the safety of white kids, would
the
that be
left
okay?
have cancelled J.K. Rowling. You surely
Couldn't give a
cannot
damn
be
about
sitting
J.K.
on this
Rowling.
sofa
Well, but
and saying that
can't give a
women
damn
are
about
not
her opinion either
operating
way.
You say you
if
don't
you
give
tell
a
them
damn
what
about
to
J.K.
say.
Rowling. That woman,
I'm not
had
interested in
had
her.
she not been as famous and as well known as she is,
That's
her
rich.
career would have been over by now.
Not over in the slightest.
No, but she has been damaged by this. You can't
Absolutely.
not
So
accept
she's
she's
been
badly
ostracised by
damaged.
Hollywood.
And
So
she's
tell
been
me-
ostracised, yes, exactly.
Tell me, gang, if the trans lobby, as you call it, is so powerful
And misogynistic.
and the only voice you ever hear, tell me, name one transgender newspaper columnist, name one presenter, name someone on this channel who's
What's
transgender.
what's that got to do with anything?
Because your entire thing is that you are the victims and that these awful
No,
trans
we're not-
people
no,
are
I'm sorry.
railing over you and you have
But
no
women-
power. So name
Stop.
one trans
Okay,
person
well, I'll tell you what we'll do.
that has anything like the platform that you have. Just one.
Who is that lady on? Well, and I
Oh,
use the
you can't
lady
name-
very loosely on Biden's
We're not
White House
here. Can I
staff.
just say something
Different
here?
country,
We're not
no
here just to
idea.
answer
No,
your
I'm sorry.
specific question.
Well, no.
If you say women haven't
Back
been
it up.
affected like this, back up.
I didn't
women,
say that.
Why do you think this movement has been started by these three women? Precisely
Why do you
because
think- why do you
women's
think-
voices are being drowned out just by people like you right now, when we're not allowed to say what
Excuse
we
me,
feel
why can
about
no,
the trans.
why can
How
no
are you not allowed
mainstream,
to say it?
excuse me,
Because you're not letting any of us
why
speak.
can no mainstream
Stop
politician
speaking.
define what a woman is? What is so endemic about this issue, this trans issue, that no mainstream
You can't say.
politician can define what
So
a
tell
woman
me,
is?
the definition that you're questioning, and clearly you're all entitled to question it. I'm not stopping you speaking at all.
We're not questioning anything. We're saying it's a
That
fact.
definition, what year was that written into law?
What do you mean? What, the
It's
definition
not
of a woman is a
written into law.
biological, an
The-
adult
the
It is written into
definition-
law.
The
It is
definition
written
of a
into law.
female is an adult female
woman.
human with
No,
the
no.
excess chromosome.
Come
That's
on.
what the definition of a woman
Come on,
is.
you're all saying that there's this big threat to women in the definition right now.
Well, it is a threat to women.
What year was it changed?
Why do you think a
You
movement...
don't know what you're talking about.
Why do you not care about the women whose lives
Just
are
because
actually
I'm not answering
being
your
defined?
question
It was
yet.
18
The
years
thing
ago.
is, you're not actually listening to what we're saying. You're a bloke, you're not a woman. You don't know what is happening to
Right.
women in this country right now. And their rights are being threatened.
So why does
Women's-
every poll say that most women don't?
He does
say
know,
that?
he's just choosing to ignore it.
What
Just like
poll? You
politicians
name the
lying
polls.
about not
Name
knowing
the
what a woman
polls.
All the
is.
YouGov
Name the
polls.
polls.
The YouGov polls
Tell
that
me.
have been.
Tell me the YouGov poll you're talking
It was
about.
2/3 of people said that they wouldn't
When
be
was
bothered.
that? I don't. You're just making that up as
No,
you
I'm
go
not.
along. Yes,
There've
you
been
are.
multiple polls. You
Yes,
can
you
go
are.
around and get them afterwards. I'll tweet it.
So this movement that has started, this backlash that has started in women's sport, this is all made up, is it? They're just all talking nonsense.
No, and let me be absolutely clear. The people in the trans woman that has committed a rape and maybe some other crimes, and by the way, you could count on your fingers the number of transgender people of any description in our prison system. Those people are evil and wrong and should be sectioned.
But
should be
they are
cited.
not a
given,
threat to
they are
women,
given
apparently.
the opportunity to
Secondly-
rape biological women by a system that is too scared to take on the trans movement.
Secondly,
That's the point.
I don't think you should base the rights of any group on the prisoners among them. I couldn't care less about people that do something so evil as to rape another person.
You couldn't
and so
care
to
less.
suggest that all the good people that are leaving their lives
We're not
normally as they
suggesting
can,
that.
who happen to
What
be
we're
trans,
saying is
wrong.
What we're saying,
Thirdly,
it is opportunist. It is the
Thirdly-
trans women in prisons, the ones who have raped people, it's an opportunist crime for them because the law of this land now allows them to mix with other women. That is not right.
You sound exactly like the people
Yes,
that
of
wrote in
course I
tabloids
do.
in the 1980s
I
that
did.
would find a
I'm
handful,
one of those people.
that would find a handful of people who were supposedly gay and who were paedophiles, and they
Oh,
would say they're a
this is-
threat to children.
this-
It is
this
exactly
is
the
nonsense.
same
This is
argument.
nonsense.
Benjamin, if you
It's
were
exactly
a
the same
father
argument.
of a
And
young
Dan, as a gay
Benjamin,
man,
I've given you a lot of
let
time.
yourself down.
I've given you a lot of. I don't play identity politics like you, Benjamin.
Well, the identity
what
politics
I
is
am
what
is
gets trans people
absolutely
killed in the fact in
irrelevant
this
to
country.
this.
Stop
What
it.
I
The
am
50%
Benjamin,
suicide rate.
what I am defending is the right of parents to worry about their young girls not having safe spaces in changing rooms. I worry about young girls who want to play sport, and the figures that have just come out already show that a lot of young girls are walking away from sport because they think it's intrinsically unfair because of the prospect of trans competitors. And I am all for the rights of trans people living happily in society,
No, you're
but not
Yes,
at
we
the
are.
cost of biological women. Not at the cost of biological women.
women's rights and their freedom to speak.
So
And
tell
that's
me-
what's happening. We're not being allowed to speak
In
against
what
the
way
trans
can't you
brigade.
speak? You've got a national newspaper column and on television.
And I
3
write
times a
about
week.
I write about it quite a lot.
And good, you're entitled to write about it, but you can't then claim you can't
But
talk
Benjamin,
about
just to
it.
clarify your position, you believe in self-ID with no medical backup?
Self-ID has been the case for 18 years.
No,
No, it's not law.
I'm asking about
It's
your
not
position.
law in
Yes,
this
it
country.
is.
No, it is. It is in Scotland. It's not here.
It is, because
It's
in order to get the legal
Not here.
definition, you have to live as your identified gender for 2 years. That is self-ID, and that's been in the case for 18
No,
years.
you need a lot more now to do it, and the push is to change the law so you don't
that
need
doesn't go against my
Then
argument.
secondly, Benjamin, do you believe in people who were competing as men as recently as a few weeks ago, being able to compete in female sporting events because they self-ID as a woman?
No, it should be taken on a basis by one basis, because someone that transitioned and started the process at 13 and hasn't evolved in the same way may
What do you
well
mean
be
hasn't evolved? It's
may
still a
well,
biological
because they've had
man.
puberty blockers and all sorts, may well be equal to
You can't
the woman
undo
or the flip.
puberty.
Yes, you
And the studies
You can
have
undo
really
cannot.
show that.
You cannot.
You
You
can.
cannot. Even if they reach
You
the
don't know- you're
testosterone
wrong.
levels, they still have bigger muscle
right, I
mass.
see.
They still have bigger lungs. They still have bigger hands. They're still stronger. So you can't
That's
take
why
out
I
a
said it should
lifetime
be a
as a man.
case-by-case basis. And if it's
No.
completely inappropriate, they shouldn't compete.
Do you
That's
know what-
absolutely fine.
Okay.
That's called logic. You should try it.
There's not much logic
If he
from
can't-
you
if he
tonight,
can't
mate.
win with logic, he
Just a
doesn't win
quiet
with results.
start from my superstar panel, Carol Malone, Benjamin Butterworth and Esther Kraku, who will be here all evening. Still to come, why have the left decided